최근 글로벌 스포츠 매체인 디 애슬레틱은 토트넘 리그 단독 1위의 1등 공신인 손흥민을 집중적으로 파헤치는 시간을 가졌습니다. 손흥민은 어떻게 다음 단계로 성장했을까라는 제목의 특집 분석 방송을 통해서 올 시즌 손흥민의 활약을 집중 조명한 건데요. 이 매체에서 토트넘 전담 기자로 알려진 찰리 에클셰어 기자가 먼저 입을 열었습니다.
It's probably important to know that Son was carrying a hernia injury for all of last season, the majority of it. He has been phenomenal though, hasn't he, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is an important bit of context. He talked about this to us in the summer on their tour about how he was playing with pain for most of last season. Now he looks fully fit. Although that said, he's still being managed. I think he's only completed the 90 minutes twice this season. So that's quite exciting as well to think if he can fully shake off these issues, how good he could be. But yeah, I mean, when Kane went, I think a lot of people, they don't want to come out and say it publicly because the fans would have been uproar, but the replacement, such as it was, is Son. And it's interesting as well because Postecoglou started with Richarlison through the middle, first 3 games, and it just wasn't really working, both because Richarlison is lacking confidence, but also because Son is just so much better through the middle than he is out on the left now, and you've got to take advantage of your best players, and he is an absolutely world-class player, and he's showing that again.
지난 시즌 내내 탈장을 포함한 부상을 안고 어찌 보면 살짝 부진 아닌 부진을 겪었지만 올 여름에 수술을 마치고 다시 회복해서 케인의 빈자리가 전혀 느껴지지 않게 만든 손흥민이 그만큼 대단하다는 분석인데요. 많은 영국 전문가들이 정말 모두 하나같이 케인이 떠난 토트넘의 성적은 떨어질 거라면서 부정적인 예측을 했던 거 기억하시죠? 이 예상을 정면으로 깨버린 게 다름 아닌 손흥민이었다는 말입니다. 이어서 또 다른 기자인 아담 크래프톤은 손흥민이 올 시즌 더 강해졌다고 했습니다.
This might be the last time you mention Harry Kane today, but Adam, I guess I almost wondered if Son would also be a lesser of an impact without Harry Kane. It was almost the partnership that was a success as well.
Well, I suppose he's being fed by Maddison instead now, isn't he? So that's kind of the creative side of it is being taken care of. I still think Son is massively underrated. Relative to how consistent he is, the number of goals he scores. I know nobody who actually you have a conversation with will ever say Son's not a good player, but I still don't think he's someone that when you see him on the Tottenham's team sheet as an opponent you think, oh shit, but actually then he plays and you're like, God, he's really good, and I think this season he's become a lot stronger.
이 기자는 리그 득점왕까지 한 손흥민이 아직도 가장 저평가된 선수라고 말했는데 다른 팀 선수들이 실제로 손흥민을 상대해 보면 깜짝 놀랄 정도라고까지 말했습니다. 그리고 지난 시즌에 잠시 주춤했던 활약에 이런 생각까지 했었다고 털어놓았습니다.
I did think watching him last season, I didn't realise that around the hernia issue. I thought he might have
gone over that hill.
Basically. Yeah. I thought,
yeah.
He's a player that had relied on pace to a certain extent, that was making a lot of runs from left through the middle, and I thought, how's he going to adapt his game? Is he going to be able to do that? Does he just? I even one of the Saudi clubs was in for him, I think, at the start of the summer, and when I saw that, I thought, yeah, it makes sense. Actually, in terms of one of their more ambitious, a bit like the Ruben Neves one, I was like, yeah, it feels a bit early, but okay, based on last season, wouldn't shock me if Spurs just thought, okay. So no, he's been really good, and he also, even when he was immediately made captain as well.
손흥민의 부상을 몰랐던 상황에서 전성기가 끝났다고 했던 사람들이 많았는데 아마 이 기자도 그런 생각이었나 보네요. 스포츠 탈장이란 부상은 선수들 사이에서 아주 악명 높은 부상으로 잘 알려져 있는데 최근 토트넘과 풀럼의 경기를 분석했던 오원과 대포도 이에 대한 얘기를 나눴습니다. 지난 시즌 손흥민이 부상을 안고 뛰었다는 사실을 알고 안심이 됐다. 손흥민의 시대가 끝난 줄 알았다. 하지만 그가 탈장 증세를 겪고 있다는 걸 알았다. 그건 악몽 같은 부상이다. 정말 괴롭다. 회복했다고 하니 정말 다행이다라면서 오원은 지난 시즌 손흥민이 다소 부진했던 게 탈장 증세 때문이었다는 걸 알고 안심했다면서 직접 이 부상에 대해 설명을 해줬습니다. 탈장 부상이 골 때린 이유는 다른 부상이면 아예 경기를 쉬면 되는데 탈장은 발목을 붙잡고 늘어지는 느낌이다. 능력을 제한한다. 경기에 뛸 수는 있지만 말 그대로 능력의 80% 정도밖에 발휘할 수 없게 만든다. 속도를 내려고 하면 엄청난 통증 때문에 늦출 수밖에 없다라면서 직접 겪었던 탈장 부상이 어떤 느낌인지 생생하게 증언해주기도 했습니다. 오원과 같이 출연한 토트넘 선배 대포도 손흥민의 편을 들어주는 모습이었죠. 골든부트를 수상하고 다음 시즌은 살짝 주춤했다. 그러나 나도 탈장을 겪은 적이 있는데 정말 힘든 부상이다. 특히 손흥민처럼 역동적인 선수들에게는 경기를 완전히 바꿔버릴 정도다라면서 역동적인 질주를 장점으로 삼는 손흥민에게 더욱 치명적인 부상이었다고 설명해 주었는데요. 올 여름 수술을 잘 마치고 건강하게 돌아와서 100%의 모습을 보여줘서 정말 다행입니다. 다시 디에슬레틱의 방송으로 돌아가 보면 이 기자들은 손흥민이 주장으로서도 매우 훌륭한 모습을 보이고 있다고 했는데요.
I think Tottenham put out the video of him being given the captaincy. I mean, he hadn't struck me as a natural captain, but managers they're just looking for very different things these days in captains. Look at when Ødegaard was made Arsenal captain. I think most people thought that's a bit odd. And then actually it just kind of makes sense once they start playing and they're consistent.
Yeah, and he is so loved in the dressing room, and that was a big reason. Well, you know, the whole logic behind making him captain was that he is just, it kind of unites all the different areas of the dressing room. And then you had, yeah, kind of. And then Maddison, you know, he's a big character with the English speakers. Then you've got Romero, who's the kind of voice for the Spanish-speaking players. So it kind of made sense.
손흥민이 토트넘 선수들을 하나로 묶어준 핵심 요인이라고 분석했습니다. 이걸 위해 손흥민을 주장으로 삼았다는 에클시어 기자의 분석이 흥미로웠는데요. 고래가 예전부터 주장했던 케인 무용론을 영국 기자들 역시 지지하는 모습도 나왔습니다.
But I mean also with Son, he has had some really good runs when Kane was out before. If you think that Champions League final that Spurs got to, Kane didn't really play in a lot of those games. He was out from the first leg against City, so missed the second leg, missed both Ajax legs, and Son was on a really good scoring run around that time. Again, Kane got injured the following season, Son stepped up through the middle. So he has shown he can do this and really thrive in it.
챔스 준결승까지는 케인이 없이 승승장구하다가 갑자기 리버풀과의 결승전에 복귀하더니 무기력하게 패배했던 기억이 다시 나네요. 아무튼 아무도 예상하지 못했겠지만 케인 떠난 게 손흥민의 득점력 폭발에는 분명 큰 영향을 준 건 맞는 듯합니다. 이어서 풀럼장 가마차기 슛에 대한 흥미로운 의견도 나왔는데 자 들어보시죠.
He strikes me as one of those players who the things he does incredibly well are almost unstoppable. I mean, that goal he scored against Fulham, I feel like I've seen that goal 40 times pretty much in terms of that finish.
Well, and the key thing is he can go either way. He is so good with his left foot. I remember looking at this a few years ago and I think he was the second best for, once you scored a number of Premier League goals, it having an equitable ratio of left and right foot, and it makes sense. He is lethal off either foot, and when you're that quick, if you stand a defender up and you can go either way, there really isn't a lot you can do as a defender, and he's shown that so many times. He's also, for people who care about these things, outscored his XG at a rate basically unlike anyone else in the Premier League since he's joined. I mean, some seasons he's scoring like 7 goals more than the data would suggest he should, in inverted commas, be scoring. So to be consistently that good, because the point with XG normally is like, it'll catch up with you eventually. And I think last season was basically the only time that happened. Otherwise, it hasn't. He's just kept outscoring it.
손흥민의 가마차기가 알아도 못 막는 기술로 그냥 골 확정이라는 느낌으로 얘기하는데요. 이 기자들뿐만 아니라 이미 많은 레전드들 그리고 분석가들이 같은 얘기를 하고 있죠. 이번 주말 크리스탈 팰리스와의 경기에서도 이 마법 같은 가마차기 슛 나올 수 있을까요? 손흥민은 경기 후 인터뷰에서 스스로도 스트라이커로서 플레이하는 것을 좋아한다고 했고 지금 포지션이 잘 맞는다고 만천하에 알렸었는데 손, 우리도 같은 생각이야. 손흥민이 해야 할 역할은 골이라는 걸 꼭 잊지 않길 바라겠습니다. 이상 흰수염고래였습니다. 감사합니다.